Hello there, Guardians. With Friday almost upon us again, and the second week of Trials of Osiris begins, I thought I would have a quick discussion about how it went in week 1. I'll be covering loot drops, matchmaking, weapon and subclass trends, and some tips along the way. In the background, I was going to have a triumphant round 9 win showing me and my team getting to the lighthouse. However, in our lighthouse game, the opposing team decided to kill themselves repeatedly by jumping off the map. While it did make for a clear and easy path to the lighthouse, it didn't make for good video footage. So playing in the background here was my team's 10th match, so we could get our gold tier bounty. And it turned out to be the most fun one we played, with lots of supers, close calls, and plenty of stupid buckshot, George, bonehead, what the fuck was I thinking, god awful mistakes. So firstly, let's talk some loot. There are a few options available to you, and the first is endgame random drops. And from what I saw, it was mostly armor dropping at around the 260 light mark. Included in this though were class items which were dropping over 300 light. This made them immediately relevant to some of my teammates and could do the same for you. As far as I could tell, all of these drops were random, which is good news, as it means there's always a chance that something will drop for you. Next up was the set endgame drops, which dropped at 5 wins and 7 wins. You will remember in year 1 these items had to be collected from Vance at the reef, but now they drop in the game. The armor item was boots, and the gun was a full auto scout rifle, which is really good fun to use and fast firing. Now these items were dropping at between 300 and 310 light, which again can be a great boost to people who are struggling for those extra light points. Then you have the fabled lighthouse. Why isn't this last on my loot list? Well, I'll tell you in a second. But for now, most Guardians know what the lighthouse is, but only the best get to go there. You need to get 9 wins and 0 losses. Now this number is affected by your boons, which can actually reduce this to only 7 wins being needed to get there, so make sure you're taking advantage of them and apply them prior to entering your first game. Now I managed to get to the lighthouse with 1 character, and along with the new 9-0 emblem, you either get a piece of armor or an adept weapon, and these will drop between 310 and 320 light, which matches the weapons and armor which you can get from the King's Fall hard mode raid. I didn't see it myself, but I'm fairly certain there is a chance of an exotic drop too. Unfortunately, I got the scout rifle again, and it was only 311 light. Now, in place of the element burn this time around, Bungie has added a 3rd perk to the adept weapons which you get from the lighthouse, so that just gives them that little extra boost that the regular weapon drops don't have. A friend of mine got the hand cannon at 320, which is awesome, and even if you don't like the weapon or armor piece you get, if it's high enough light level, you have the option to infuse it into something which you do like. And lastly on the loot talk, I'll mention my favourite new addition, and that is the 6 bounties on offer from Brother Vance. These are used in trials, but the main thing to note is that they are completed more through persistence than going flawless. It is great that everyone has a chance of getting some loot, even if they don't win every match. It is good because it shows again that Bungie is listening to our feedback, and will bring more Guardians back to the Trials of Osiris. Last year, the first couple of weeks were stacked with players wanting to take part, but it dropped off, and not surprisingly either. Nobody likes to play and get their head flushed down the shitter every week. But at least now you'll have something shiny to hold to compensate for your experience, pleasant or otherwise. The best thing I got from my gold tier package was the new Trials Ghost Shell, which dropped at 304 light, but the most surprising item was a 312 exotic Empyrean Bellicose from the silver tier bounty. Adding the chance of getting exotic between 310 and 320 light for even the silver tier is a great little addition. Yeah, it's not guaranteed, but there's always a chance. So altogether, I'm very happy with the changes to the loot drop process, and I'm also happy that they've still got the same things from year 1. Okay, so matchmaking had a big change applied to it as well. In year 2 Trials of Osiris, you should be pitted against people with the same amount of wins as you. Now in early rounds, this probably isn't going to make too much of a difference, and there's still the possibility of running into some MLG 360 no-scope snipe pro team in your first match. That said, once you get past the mid-card mark, say around about 5 wins, I personally noticed a big step up in difficulty. Snipers didn't miss, tactics were solid, and you really had to play hard to earn your win. I do like this change. If it's applied as it should be, you have more of a chance of reaching your skill level every week. This will hopefully give you the urge to play more Crucible and improve. I know it works for me. You may say to yourself, like I did, that you will never be as good as the 1% of top players, and that is okay. Some people are just naturally better at video games, but the only way you can compete is through practice. In year 1, it took me around 2 months of failing to get to the lighthouse. During that time, my Crucible playing time increased massively. Watch other videos of other people, get good weapons that you are comfortable using, and keep trying. So now on to weapons and subclass trends. Firstly, they may have well named this tournament the Trials of No One's Fucking Mercy. If someone had No One's Mercy, you know that they know their stuff, because in the right hands that gun is pound for pound the best there is in PvP right now. It was given a great set of perks from the most recent Iron Banner to complement its already outstanding stats, and it consistently took my arse and handed to me over and over again this past weekend. Now, bearing in mind that not everyone will have obtained No One's Mercy, it seems that everyone else had another pulse rifle of some description. Smite of Moraine, Red Death, Hawk Saw, Apple of Discord among a couple of others were definitely the flavour, and given they can work on pretty much every map, I don't see that changing anytime soon. And quite right, you have to give yourself every advantage in Trials, and with all the really good and easily obtainable pulse rifles out there, you would be mad to enter Trials with anything else. That is until Bungie nerf it, and believe me, I believe this nerf is going to be happening sooner rather than later. Secondary weapons more than primary weapons are usually dictated by the map, and this weekend was Sniper City. 1000 yard stare being easily obtainable and with massive aim assist was definitely a firm favourite. While Bungie have done some work to reduce the range of shotguns by taking away shot package, they are still a viable option, and given the uselessness of fusion rifles and the slow, low time to kill of sidearms, if you can't snipe, you are rolling with a shotgun. So in the first week of Trials, since the most OP subclass was introduced, many people assumed it would be wall-to-wall Sunbreakers, but honestly, that wasn't really the case. While Sunbreakers obviously wreck faces, they are much more useful against large groups, and in Trials, most people don't group too closely together. Bannerfall is a good size with plenty of outs available, and if you're not running Sunbreaker, you are almost certainly trained to run and hide when you hear that clank go off. While my only visit to the lighthouse was with my Titan, I felt much more comfortable with my Hunter. With more attractive supers being introduced in Year 2, namely Fire Titan and Electro Warlock, the former King of Crucible has taken a step back. However, Trials with its 3-man teams is still the near-perfect choice for your Hunter to make its comeback. Most teams, though, had an even mix of classes and subclasses, which always made games interesting and varied, and I was very happy to see it. So that was the first week. If you're heading in on Friday, make sure you do everything you can to raise your light level. Get your hands on a good pulse rifle, and get playing some Crucible to practice in the meantime. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to stick around and watch the rest of the game footage, and thanks for watching. I hope to see you around the tower.
Guardian, down. Guardian down.
You're the last Guardian. An enemy target has been revived.
Guardian down.
All enemies have been eliminated. You've got match points, Guardians. End this. Enemy team eliminated. Weapons down, Guardians. This fight's over.